Welcome back to the Oddcast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Ricky.
And we're just two odd dudes who decided to start a podcast.
Yeah, today we are going to be talking about New Year's resolutions and how this is releasing about the third week of January. So we're going to talk about how you've probably already forgotten about that resolution you made on January 1st.
I know I did.
Yeah.
I mean, we're recording this before New Year's.
Yeah,
but
and you
I'm
already
definitely forgot. I've given up like 2 weeks ago at the point.
And we'll talk about if we make New Year's resolutions, kind of the problem with those that we see, or all that kind of stuff, all that good stuff.
Yep.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
Let's do it. Let's get to the Oddcast.
Well, guys, as we said, this is the time of the year when you have probably broken your New Year's resolution.
Yes.
It's a very sad time. I would say it's apathetically disappointing. Because if you went into your New Year's resolution and it's been 3 weeks and you're not following it anymore, you didn't really care about it that much in the beginning. You're just doing it because it's New Year's.
Well, you might have cared about it. You
Right.
just didn't have the discipline to keep it going. Yeah. You know?
Right. It's kind of it's all about priority, which is kind of what you've talked about that before with the whole we do things when we prioritize them.
Right.
And then we say we want to do things, but we don't actually really want to do things because we don't prioritize them.
Right. There's always enough time in the day.
Right.
Always. Yeah. So, we kind of made a joke at the start about, I forgot the joke, about forgetting forgetting the New Year's resolutions and stuff. Let's start off by talking about, my question to you, do you do New Year's resolutions?
Do I do New Year's resolutions?
You do resolutions, you do.
No.
You don't.
I don't, for the most part. I mean, I don't think I've ever actually done a real New Year's resolution. Mm-hmm. And I think that's because I just never have something that I'm like, this is what I want to do for this entire year. Yeah. It's like, if I wanted to start something, we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. If I wanted to start something, why not start it before the new year? Like, why do I start right at that new year?
Yeah, because it's a new year.
But like, what does that mean? Why not just start it at the new week?
It means the number at the end of the year changes.
That's true. Yeah. There's really nothing. It's just like people have in their minds like this is a milestone moment, you know? So like this is when I started this whole new thing. And I think that does help some people.
Right.
I read this book on habits once. It was called The Power of Habit. It might have been something else. I think it was mostly just that though. And that was one of the things that they talked about was like a lot of times people utilize specific days of the week, or I think I just bumped my mic, so sorry. But like they utilize specific days of the week or specific days of the month or the New Year's in order to create this milestone moment that's gonna help them do a better habit better.
A better habit better. You just mean like encourage them to keep going?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's supposed to be some sort of like psychological, like, oh, I started on this momentous moment, even though it's like not really that momentous. Right.
So the milestones keep you going. It's a goal.
Yeah.
It's goal oriented.
Yeah, it's kind of like this is the start.
Yeah. Well, you went to, as we talked about a couple podcasts ago, you went to a Christian school.
Yeah.
So I assume there was some point in your life, because you grew up in the church.
Yeah.
Where you started a new Bible reading program in January.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
Did I start in January?
Did you ever finish one?
I've never finished the Bible reading plan.
You've read the whole Bible.
Yeah, but not.
You just haven't finished
actually,
the plan.
I might be missing a couple of the minor I'm sure there's a couple of the minor prophets. Like I couldn't tell you I've read all the minor prophets.
Got it.
Because I don't even think I could list the minor prophets by name right now.
But you're pretty close.
Which is bad.
Yeah.
But
you're pretty close.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've tried the Bible reading programs.
Yeah. And guess
not successful.
Guess where I dropped off?
I'm gonna go with Leviticus.
No, I actually got through Leviticus.
Oh, Numbers?
I think it was Deuteronomy. It was Deuteronomy.
Did I say those in the right order? I don't know.
I'm not like as good at reading through the Old Testament as like Paul is. Paul, shout out to you. You're in the room.
Captain of the Odd Squad.
Captain of the Odd Squad, right there.
You didn't mean Paul the Apostle.
He
was pretty good at reading.
He was good,
Testament.
But he probably never read Revelation.
Yeah, we won't go down that rabbit
right.
trail.
Right.
But I'm kind of the same. I don't do New Year's resolutions per se. Basically, what we talked about at the start, or you kind of talked about, my mentality is like, if I want to start something, I'm just going to start it now, which in some ways is really good. In some ways, like it drives my wife crazy.
Right.
Because for instance, if I want something, I won't buy it right away. Right. I'm just like, nah. But once I've made the decision that I'm doing something,
right,
I'm going to do it. And there is literally nothing that will stop that, including money.
Wow.
Which is dangerous.
It
right?
is dangerous.
So when I'm like, I'm going to start snowboarding.
Right.
Like I've thought through that decision for so long that I go buy a snowboard. And I did.
And now you snowboard.
And now I'm good at it. And I love it. And I still have the same snowboard. So I'm happy about it.
And you're going to teach me how to snowboard.
I am, yeah.
And now I bought a snowboard.
Now you bought a snowboard.
Yeah.
And Paul bought a snowboard. Look at, see, I influenced other people to make bad financial decisions because I'm such a let's just do it right now.
My snowboard was only $150.
Yeah, you got a steal.
I did get a steal.
So, but in regards to New Year's resolutions, I don't really make. I don't put a lot of energy or effort into New Year's resolutions for the same reason that I don't think the start of the year changes anything. Like my mindset is, you know, if I decided today that I was like, you know what, I really want to start working out more, I wouldn't wait the 2 weeks because I know part of that is because I know that if I'm lackadaisical about it, I'm probably not going to start it then.
Right.
Because my attention span is not the best. So I will find a new hobby before January 1st that I want to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So I have a lot of things for a lot of things, meaning I have a backpack for backpacking.
Oh, yeah.
I have a snowboard for snowboards. For snowboarding, I have paintball guns. I have a fishing pole and lures. I have golf clubs. I have basketball shoes. Like,
right.
I start things, and it's not that I get like, oh, I don't like them. I just start liking something else. And then eventually I'll come back to it. Like I loved golf growing up, then played basketball is everything. Talked about that. Then I got back into golfing when I got married. I don't know if that's a weird connection there, but I was like, I want to start golfing.
I don't know.
You know?
Maybe just like family men, especially a lot of dads.
That's what I think.
Golf.
I'm like, I became a husband, was like, I'm preparing for dadhood.
Yeah, exactly.
Like early onset dads.
Yeah.
So I started golfing, but now I'm like, I'm building my golf bag because I like golfing more. And I get to golf with more people. And so I don't know. I just don't delay those type of things.
Right. Because it's a hobby that you're trying to start. So you go all into.
Right. So if I want to go to the gym
like that.
Yeah. If I want to go to the gym, I'll just go.
I think maybe the only thing I have that I'm like all into is coffee. Because I have like all the different coffee, except for I don't have a French press, which is weird. I should get a French press.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're listening and you want to buy me a French press, yeah.
You don't like French things?
I mostly just the fries. Yeah.
French fries and French press.
Yeah, exactly. Is there anything else from France?
Yeah, the one other thing, but we're not going to talk about that.
Oh,
the kiss.
Ew. Yeah, gross.
So, my thing with New Year's resolutions is I don't think they're bad.
Yeah,
I honestly don't. And like if you like set one, I'm not trying to poo-poo on the parade.
Right.
Which I mean, I guess I do a lot on this podcast. But my point of like what I just don't do it because I'd rather do it today.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people like the milestones and the goals like you were talking about at the start are actually really helpful to people because it helps keep that motivation going. Where I don't necessarily need that motivation to keep going because if I want to do something, I'm just going to do it. Right.
Right.
But the problem is when I delay, that's when I'm like, I probably don't want to do it that bad. And I just lose focus and go do something else. But for other people that want to make New Year's resolutions and have goals and aspirations for the year, I think that's great. I think it's great to have goals and to actually kind of write those down or verbalize those so you kind of know where you're going. But I don't think it's just a January 1st thing. It should be what's your goal for this week or for this month and then this year and kind of and then be evaluating. But I think the problem is too many people put so much weight on January 1st that they forget about, January, whatever day that this podcast releases, they forget that, that day you still have to have the motivation to keep going.
Yeah.
You still have to be mentally going, okay, this is the purpose. Like we sacrifice long-term goals and gratification for short-term gratification. And everybody's in the gym January 2nd.
Yep.
Nobody wants to be in the gym December 23rd because they're like, oh, it's Christmas and it's that time where I get to eat and pig out and do all my stuff. Which is like, yeah, I'm on board for that. But I'm also know that I'm not going to do that in my brain and think that on January 2nd I'm going to have an amazing life change. Like, you got to be consistent. And I think that a lot of that is mental.
Yeah. Right. You know what's actually interesting is about maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I bought a gym membership and I've gone like maybe 3 times now.
Typical.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so hopefully I keep doing that, but we'll see. Maybe I'll talk about, if you're listening, again, I'm recording this pre New Year's, so this is still December. But what I'm hoping to see is I want to go enough around the New Year's time, and I just want to see all of the people who come in, like January 2nd, like you said.
It's going to be busy.
And then by February 2nd, just see if it's back to what it was before. Because that's what happens in gyms is like you have this big surge of people from January 1st to like the third week. So maybe when we release this podcast, and then nobody.
Yeah. Well, and they always do these like 6-month, 1-year membership things, and they give you a discount. So did you get a promo for signing up when you signed up?
It was like a cent.
Yeah. Did you have to sign up for a certain amount of time?
No.
Oh, that's good. See, a lot of them do that. They're like, you sign up for 6 months a year, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna be committed for this for a year.
Yeah.
And then you're paying for it for the rest of the year, but you only go for 2 months,
right?
If that, right? I've fallen prey to that, so I can speak as a person that has dealt with that.
Yeah. See, I think I just need the motive. You need motivation to continue to do these things.
Right.
And for me, that's just going to be my friends continuing to make fun of my legs. which, just so you guys know, I tried to do squats the other day for the first time in about maybe 4 years. Maybe since high school.
Yeah. Nice.
And I not to brag, I squatted like at least the bar, and so that was pretty cool. But there was plenty of teasing that went on.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Some from yours truly, Ricky, and the captain of the Odd Squad, Paul.
But here's why we were teasing, because your girlfriend is fit.
Yeah.
Right, and she like works out, and she was like doing kickboxing and all this stuff, and so.
She was like my personal trainer.
Yeah, jokingly I asked if she was training you, and she said yes. And then she said she had to teach you how to squat.
No, for real.
Which was why the teasing commenced.
Okay, but also like, if you haven't seen me in real life, I am a 6'1", 6'2" man, and like 80% of my body is legs. And so when I have to squat, it's like I have to go down so much further to get to that like 90-degree angle that you're supposed to. Is it 90 degrees? I've only done it once, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to act like you're sitting in a chair, and that's a long ways down.
Yeah, but all of the professional athletes in the entire world are acting like that's nothing.
I'm not getting paid to do it. If somebody was paying me millions of dollars to work out,
but they weren't getting paid when they started it.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, they had a
look
dream
where
to
you
be
could
professional.
You're 6'1". You're in that area where you could become professional.
No way.
At something. Racquetball. Maybe try racquetball.
Professional. I'm going to become a professional billiards player.
Billiards?
Yeah, I could reach so far across the, just.
Billiards?
Billiards?
Billiard? How do you say it?
I think it's billiards.
Yeah, billiards. Like pool?
Oh, were you asking me?
I was asking you. I wasn't sure what
rhetorical?
you said. No, I wasn't sure what you said.
Oh, okay.
So it's clarifying.
Yeah, billiards.
The one with the stick.
Yeah,
pool.
Got it. I heard there's a difference between pool and billiards.
I don't know.
Like one was like slightly bigger.
I don't know.
Paul's saying yes. Is
we'll
that
just
true?
Believe him. We'll Google it later.
Okay. But the people want to know.
Yeah, but you know what else the people want? The people want to see you wear the shirt that I said we should create for you. And the shirt I said that we should create for Alex is that he should wear a shirt on the podcast that says "Tall guys don't squat."
Yeah, if somebody makes that.
If you're a tall guy over 6 foot, you have to be over 6 foot for this to count.
Yeah.
Would you wear a shirt that says "Tall guys don't squat"? How many tall guys do you think don't squat?
I know at least one.
You?
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Let's go back to the laziness. That was really loud.
Yeah.
We just got a text message in my ears again.
Yep.
I keep forgetting to turn that off. That's my bad.
That's okay. They can't hear it, but it was basically like ding.
Yeah, but I can't hear anything now. Let's go back to the laziness or the New Year's stuff and talk about the aspect of laziness. Do you think that, like in the Bible reading program or other things, laziness, you said apathy at the start, apathetic, plays a huge factor in the lack of being able to continue New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, I think for sure, because I mean, especially now we're such an instant gratification culture. Like we have Amazon that sometimes has like same day shipping, you know.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Like, and if Amazon ever delays my package 1 or 2 days, I'm like, what the frick, Amazon? Like, what are you sitting on your couch over there? You know, like I still got everything I needed within like 3-4 days, but because everything is it's like so instant gratification, I just expect it sooner.
Yeah, well, and like it's Christmas time. We're recording this prior to Christmas.
Yeah.
And I ordered the gifts I got you and Paul. I ordered coffee, right, from this, Reformed Roasters, specific coffee shop, and they're mailing it USPS. Always a mistake, right?
Right.
Because when you have Amazon, FedEx, UPS, those type of things, you don't pay attention to USPS because it sucks. Right. And it's usually the cheapest. USPS, we don't want to sponsor. I'll say it. But here we go, right? Because Amazon is like, we've sent it. It's 48 minutes away from your house. Yeah. We're 2 doors away. We're now inside of your garage. Like they actually do that now. They have they can go in your garage thing.
Right.
That's crazy. USPS was supposed to be here Friday. Saturday, it still said your package left a facility. Don't know where. Didn't say, just said a facility. And I'm like, all right, I know it's in the United States because it's USPS.
Right. It's
That's
just
all I have.
In transit.
Yeah. So then, yesterday, I'm like, okay, I'll give them the weekend. It's Monday. It was still in Ohio where it had left from on the 16th, according to the location. I'm going on a rant. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
Anyways,
fine.
all of a sudden, it was here today. I checked the tracking location, said, still at a facility. Who knows? Who knows with that?
Man, USPS be losing packages left and right. At least this time, though, they lost it to the right spot.
Yeah. How did we get here? I'm so lost.
We're talking about instant gratification.
Yeah, yes, instant gratification. So with that, the aspect of the apathy and laziness, where like, I was so frustrated because I'm like, where's my package?
Right.
It's supposed to be the 18th. And I'm a person that, if it would have said the 23rd, okay.
Right.
But I expected on the 23rd.
Yeah.
Right? Because it didn't give me a range. It said the 18th. Then all of a sudden, now it's the 22nd, and it just fine showed up today. So I think there's an aspect of, that's the expectation and goal type thing, where you're like, I expect to be somewhere at a certain time. And I think that can be disheartening in the New Year's resolutions as well. You expect to see results, you expect something, and then you get demotivated as opposed to being lazy. Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense. Because I mean, even when you're talking about like Amazon says every little thing about where your package is, like how long till it's at your door, or like it'll say like it's 8 stops away, and you're like, they're literally in my neighborhood. I just have to wait for them.
Right. You can follow it on the little map.
Yeah,
thing.
it's crazy.
Amazing.
But I think that's something we probably not need, but like I could see that happening in the future, where there's some sort of like personal assistant that just automatically tracks certain things for you. Because you go to like the gym, and there's those people who are like really into being, at the gym, and they have their notebooks and they're writing down everything. The grunters. Yeah.
Like lifting a 8-pound dumbbell. Like,
yeah. That's me. I do that. Yeah. But it's genuine. It's not.
I'm really struggling here, guys.
But like, they keep track, right? So they're tracking how much they're or how much they're lifting, how much weight it is, or how many like sets they did, how many reps they did.
Right.
And it's so that they can see their own progress. It's this journaling of, okay, this is where I was and here's where I am now. So they see that progress, even if they can't like physically see it, they see it in the numbers.
Yeah. I think, sorry, go ahead.
So I think like that could be something in the future where they're like, we have this little like personal assistant who just tracks things like that for you and is really intuitive. But because like typically when somebody goes to the gym, they're not doing that. I don't do that. I'm like, I don't want to sit there and write it all down. I'm too lazy for that. Like,
I'm sure there's apps for it too.
I'm sure there are. But like even that, you still have to open the app, type everything down, like create a little system. And people just don't want to do that. So they don't see the progress because they just can't see it in the mirror.
Right. I think that's the biggest thing. It's you want to see the progress in the mirror. Where like I know when I start working out and I'm like doing, especially core stuff because I have back problems, like I can feel the difference in my back right away. But I don't necessarily see anything, right? Like I'm not doing eight sit-ups and all of a sudden I got a six-pack, right? Like I'm doing 8 sit-ups and like, yep, still looks the same.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of expectation on what we can physically see. And so I think outside of the gym, you go into, I want to read this many books. Well, that's going to be dependent on the physically seeing that you finish the book, right?
Right.
And it's going to be dependent on how big the book is. And when we don't quantify these goals and we don't get specific about the expectation, it's a lot easier, I think, to become unmotivated.
Right.
Because you're expecting to see a result, but not being clear about what the expectation of that result is.
Yeah.
So we start New Year's resolutions and we say, I want to read through the Bible in a year. Okay, that's great. But what's your check-in points? And what's keeping you motivated, right? Because I know like when I've tried those, I get to like day 3 and I have a really busy day. I'm like, I can't read 5 chapters a day because it's just, I woke up late or whatever. Then you go day 4, I've got to read 10 chapters.
Yeah.
And now it's like, now you're playing catch up.
It's like a snowball.
Right. Instead of being intentional about, no, I have a goal. And if I don't necessarily reach the exact date, I just want to hit the goal.
Yeah.
Now you start to get, demotivated or unmotivated. I don't know which word is the right word. Unmotivated.
Anti-motivated.
Anti-motivated. So I think that is the part of, if you're making New Year's resolutions, or if you're even outside of New Year's, if you're making a new goal, it's going, what's the purpose of making this?
Yeah, for sure.
When people are like, I want to read more. If you just tell me you want to read more, the odds are you're not going to read more.
Yeah.
Because you haven't, what do you want to read? You're like, how do you want to read? What's the purpose of wanting to read more? If you're like, I just want to read more, well, I can just hand you a bunch of like comic books and be like, look, you read more because you did.
Or a brochure.
Yeah. But if you're like, I want to read more of this thing, I want to grow in this area. Okay, now you have an area to kind of progress in. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Because like something like read more is not a goal, right? Because like if you read 2 books last year, you could read 2 books in a page, and you're it's like there's an episode of The Office where they're making New Year's resolutions, and Kevin's resolution is, I want to eat more vegetables this year.
Yeah.
And last year he ate 0 vegetables. Yeah. And Michael makes him eat 1 piece of broccoli. Yeah. And done. Hilarious bit, but like he's done with his resolution for the entire year, and that 1 piece of that 1 vegetable is gonna do nothing for him. You know, like,
well, and it's like, why make the goal? What's the point? Right. Like if you're making a New Year's resolution because you feel social pressure by others to make the New Year's resolution, it's most likely going to fail. Right. But if you're making the New Year's resolution because you have a desire to grow in that area, then it increases the possibility that it could be successful. Wow, that was really hard to say. Yep. But it takes discipline, just like anything, right? Like it's going to take discipline, and we are disciplined. I think this is something I've come to realize in the last year. A lot of people are like, I'm just not a very disciplined person. Yes, you are. You just aren't disciplined in the areas you want to be disciplined in, right? Because discipline is like this training yourself to do something. Well, guess what? You're disciplined in watching Netflix, because what do? You have a routine. Right. Most of us do. And you go home and you've disciplined and trained your body to go home and go, I've earned Netflix because I went to work today. Right. Or I've earned YouTube because I did this. Like those are disciplines in your brain. Right. And maybe, other people will be like, that's not what the term means, but that's essentially what it is. Right. But like when I'm disciplined in my body, where I'm like, I want to do this, so I have to do this. Yeah. I'm training myself for hopefully success in an area. So like if I want to go hang out with friends, I need to, one, I'm a grown man, but I still got to make sure my chores are done, around the house. But I got to make sure my schoolwork's done. I've disciplined myself at that. And I can go out and play with my buddies. Yeah. But in the sandbox. Right. But if I do, and I don't get my homework done, I now have to deal with that consequence. Right. So the same with your New Year's resolution. If you go out and do something outside of what you want to do, or what you say you desire to do, you allow yourself to become disciplined in another area. You're just retraining yourself to go, it's okay to skip on my goal. It's okay to, and you're allowing yourself to become more and more, not the direction you want to go.
Yeah. And I think even too with the whole homework thing, right? Because the reason you stay and you do your homework, you make sure that you're like have everything done, that you've studied for the test coming up, is because you want to finish your master's. Like it's because one of the priorities. Yeah.
We're struggling to talk to that.
We really are. Is, getting that higher education because you're a man who likes learning, who likes especially learning about the Bible and about scripture and stuff. And so that has become a great priority for you. And in the same way, like, you have like those crazy basketball players who their priority is being the best.
Yeah.
Like Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
I actually didn't see the documentary, but I know you did.
Yeah.
And you told me about it.
Yeah.
Well, like that was his goal.
It was amazing. Yeah. Well, and like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, these top guys of basketball, they were guys that were at the top of their game and they were still training like they weren't.
Right.
Like that's what's incredible with these guys. It was discipline. The motivation wasn't win a championship. The motivation was I want to be better. And for some of those guys, it wasn't even I want to be the best, because at their time they clearly were the best. It was I want to be better than I was yesterday. Right. And that just kept moving them to this new level and new heights.
Yeah.
And so with that, the same regard, like if I wanted to go get my master's because I thought it was going to make me a lot of money, like if all of a sudden, like when my everything happened this year and I changed my career, like all of a sudden it's like, oh, this isn't going to make me a ton more money, then I would have quit. But that wasn't the reason, right? There was a deeper motivation, and I needed to know that before I went in. Like me and Erica had long conversations about why do we want to do this? Yeah. And it wasn't just for the job, because then if the job comes off the table, then you aren't going to keep doing whatever it is you're doing, right? Like our school. But it was, no, we want to grow in our understanding of these areas, so that's why we keep going. But it comes back to what's the motivating factor behind it? Like, why do you want to lose weight? Do you want to be healthier? Okay, let's work on being healthier. Let's not just work on losing weight.
Yeah.
Totally I want to read more. Okay, what do you want to read more of? Why do you want to read more? Like, let's talk about those things.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that's the issue with New Year's resolutions that I typically see is, I just want to do, and it's very broad and generic. And it's like, okay, I want to eat more vegetables. I eat one piece of broccoli, I'm done. Right. But that shouldn't be the heart, right? If the real heart behind a New Year's resolution should be, how am I going to use this each and every day to grow? Yeah. And mature. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it kind of goes back to what we talked about 2 weeks ago. It is like, okay, we're going to take life seriously, because life is a serious thing. Like obviously we goof around and joke and whatnot, but like
we have a cool podcast.
We do have a cool podcast with a beautiful wall behind it.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, just had to admire it for a second.
Moment of silence for how great the wall is.
So good. But like we do want to take life seriously. We talked about that 2 weeks ago, and it's okay. What are you striving for? Like what is it that you want to do? Like And for me, one of those things is like one of the biggest things I want to do in life is I want to be a husband and father. And in order to be like a good husband and father, I need to be, in scripture. Right. And so obviously I want to glorify God. So that's another reason to be in scripture. So, but like, these are things that are priorities in my life. And so from that, it's okay. How do I glorify God more? How do I become a better husband and father someday?
Well, the discipline starts now, right?
Yeah, for sure.
January 1.
Right. And that's because it's a priority now. It's not just, okay, I'm supposed to make a goal, so let me make this goal. And the easy one is always working out. Right. Everybody always does that.
Yeah, I think it can't just be working out. It can't just be, here's my, whatever reason, and it's just vague. Right. No, say if you don't have one, maybe think on that. Maybe that's a good thing to think on. Like, I hope this next year, now that my life's kind of changing, one, I want to finish my master's, right? So I don't think there's New Year's resolutions. These are just things that I've already been doing. I want to finish my master's, and when I finish my master's, I'll be done having to read what I'm told to read, and I'll be done studying, at least for a period. Who knows? Right. Who knows what can happen? Still working on Erica to let me go back for that PhD. Whoop. But we'll see.
We'll see.
But I've got, we're in my office, right? Where our studio / my office, where I've got like 100 books sitting over there that I haven't read yet. And I'm like, which I know sounds crazy. I get it. I know I have a problem. But the point being, like, I want to start reading those. Yeah. But I don't have I have to read through all of them, because I want to read them. And the reason I want to read them is because I want to grow, not because I need to fulfill a certain quota. So anyways, we're about out of time. Any last thoughts you had on that?
Yeah. I mean, like we don't think New Year's resolutions are bad. Just make it something that you're actually going to, prioritize. And if you didn't make one, or if you made one that you actually do think is really important and you've broken it by now, like it's still a great time to keep going.
Find the motivator, not necessarily just the goal.
Right. Yeah.
Or the expectation.
Right.
But also understand why you want to do it.
Yeah.
But anyways, thanks guys. Make sure to buy a shirt on our website, twooddudes.com. Follow us, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube.
They're all linked somewhere.
Yeah, they're all there. But that's it. Thank you guys again. We're just really excited that we get to keep doing this, and we're monthly, we're weekly. So we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening, and as always, stay odd.